Hi, everyone. I am so excited to quote unquote see you. I'm not going to make an annoying pun about seeing you because I know we're all sick of Zoom jokes. But I am really excited to have everybody here tonight because even though we've been doing a million Zoom webinars since COVID started, this particular webinar is very meaningful because if you missed the announcement, CCC is starting a cross country team, and we are so incredibly fortunate to have this opportunity to field these teams for the support of our college, for the support of our community. And so the whole point of this speaker series is to not only celebrate the start of this inaugural season for our teams, but also to celebrate the culture of running, the people of our running community here in Coconino County. And that's from Flagstaff to Williams to Page, the Navajo Nation, I mean, and everywhere in between. We're such a big county and we have so much to celebrate. So I'm really excited to kick this off tonight. My name is Megan Remington. I am our community education coordinator here at Coconino Community College. And if you're wondering, yes, it did take me a while to figure out how to say that without getting completely tongue-tied. This webinar is brought to you by Coconino Community College's community education programs. We offer personal enrichment courses, workforce development training, and community engagement opportunities. So really just about anything you can find. And if you're ever looking to learn something specific, reach out to us. We'll see what we can do for you. So tonight, if you've never been on a webinar before, let me tell you how to, and if you're as distracted by the adorable baby as I am, I don't blame you at all. So there's a couple of different ways for you to interact with us tonight, because this is a community conversation. This isn't a presentation. This isn't something formal or stilted. So we have a chat box. You are welcome to use it. Do make sure that you have it so that when you talk, it goes to everybody and not just the presenters, because then it kind of becomes a community forum. People can see you and engage with you. And if you have any questions, use the Q&A function, which is at the bottom of your screen there. That's the best way to ask questions throughout. We'll be sure to get to all the questions as we go. This webinar is being recorded. So if you have to step away for some reason, or if you know someone who wanted to be here but couldn't, we will be sharing that recording with you. And if you know anybody who still wants to register, we will be leaving registration open for the entirety of the series through our final series or session on May 20th of next week. And May 20th is going to be extra special because our CCC governing board president, Nat White, who some of you may know if you're in the running community, Nat White is ubiquitous with running and or astronomy, depending on which side of the community you tend to focus on. And he is going to be with Craig Hunt, our new head coach, and they're going to have an awesome conversation about the future of CCC and CCC Cross Country and what it means to Coconino County. So I hope you guys will be able to join us for that. And now, the whole reason why we're here tonight, we have the fabulous Alvina Begay with us tonight. She is a runner, a 3-time Olympic trials qualifier, a nurse, and a registered dietitian. She is qualified for the 10,000 meter and marathon distances in the Olympic trials, which, side note, when I read that, I got winded just thinking about it, but we'll get to that. And are you currently an N7 ambassador or previously?
I'm previously an N7 ambassador, so.
Okay, so I wrote that wrong but that's still really cool. I Googled it. If anybody is wondering what an N7 ambassador is, it basically is, she was representing Nike's effort to focus on getting youth in Native American and Indigenous communities in North America moving forward through the N7 fund so they can lead healthier, happier, and more successful lives, which I think is just so stinking cool. So that's my opening spiel. So thanks for hanging with me there. So Alvina, well, first of all, Alvina, do you want to share your little sweetheart with everybody?
Sure. Just a quick introduction of me. Alvina Begay and Shia Tretney Ninchla Chenjikina Ebashish Chin Trobaha Dashid Chekana Etashanella Equit Atana Staninchla. I just introduced myself in Navajo. My name is Alvina Begay, and this is my daughter, Yithnaba Johnson. Her first name is Yithnaba, means warrior in Navajo, and her middle name means hummingbird in Navajo. So she's our little warrior and hummingbird that really got us through 2020 and kept our focus on future. So
Oh,
this is her. Yeah.
I'm so glad that she is with us right now. And I have Alicia, I see your comment about an echo. Is anybody else experiencing an echo? Just go ahead and put it in the chat because we'll see what we can do to fix that. But okay, oh, okay, cool. We're all good. All right, awesome. So we're gonna kick things off with, so Alvina, you have an amazing career as a runner. You're well known around Flagstaff, and you've done so much in your community. And so let's start with running. So can you kind of talk to us about where you started with running from your youth, and kind of how the dominoes fell that led you to being an Olympic qualifier?
Yeah. So I grew up in Ganado, Arizona. It's a small town on the Navajo reservation. My dad was a runner. He grew up in Ganado. My dad's family didn't have a car, so my dad's ability to run and run fast served as his family vehicle. So he ran high school, he went pro, and just him running, when I was very young, he was pretty much my role model. He was training for the Olympic trials when I was pretty young. So I have memories of, playing on the track on the grass, and he was doing 400s, or he was doing some type of track workout. Or, I just remember that at a really young age, going to races on weekends. We were just all about supporting him and his running dreams. So it just naturally, his running, I just felt like it was natural to follow in his footsteps, and to just try to go as far as I could. And Ganado is at least in my mind, it's a pretty great place to train. So we're at altitude at 7,000 feet. Just tons of endless dirt roads in Ganado. We had a dirt track, so I felt like it was an ideal place to run and train and become a runner and dream big and have huge running goals. And so, yeah, and I felt like, I'd see a lot of Africans training in similar terrain and altitude. So I felt like, it's a perfect place for me to train and keep going. I'm gonna see if I could give her to her dad before she Casey, can you grab her? So
it's like she knows that yeah. Everyone's here watching. She's got an audience now.
But yeah, that's how I started running. And then I just ran in high school, and her dad is coming.
So. Oh, perfect.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, so that's how I started running, was pretty much from my dad's influence and his goals. And it's just, he didn't qualify for the trial, so I felt like it was my mission to, accomplish that goal and dream for the family. So.
Oh, that's awesome. So then was the Olympic qualifying, did that happen in college, or was that after the fact?
So I had a lot of success in high school. I won the state high school championship in the mile and 2 mile all 4 years of high school. And then I went to Adams State College and then Arizona State. I did really well at Adams State, but once I went to Arizona State, I struggled. And then even though I struggled, and after college, I still had really big running goals and dreams. So I decided to just go forward and try to qualify for the trials and the marathon. So my first trials was in 2008. So that's where I competed, or the marathon trials were in Boston that year. So
wow,
it was a bumpy. It wasn't a smooth ride, I guess.
I've heard about, I've always thought that it'd be cool to do Boston, but I know is Boston where Heartbreak Hill happens?
Oh yeah.
That's the
yeah. So at the 2008 trials, we ran a different course. We ran like a loop course. And then the trials were the day before the Boston Marathon. So we didn't run the actual Boston Marathon course. We ran a flatter, um, faster loop course
Mhm.
that was spectator friendly. So, but yeah, always fun to run in Boston. So.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Well, so question, because you mentioned that you won state in the mile and shorter distances. So what was it? Because typically people either specialize in short distances or the long distances, and you have done both. What was it that moved you to a marathon distance?
It seemed like the longer, the farther I ran, the more success I had. So in college, I was not fast enough to run the 1500. I was not fast enough to run the 5K. I had more success in the 10K. So it just seemed like the longer and farther I went, the more success I had. With the marathon, at the time, the marathon standard felt very doable to me. The 10K at that time felt, I didn't feel like I was fast. So, or,
Mhm.
so
I've got to give you so many kudos because I have done exactly one marathon and it did not end happy. It was it was very rough. So I can't even, so what was your qualifying time for the marathon?
I think the first time I ran it, it was like 240, had to be under 246, 245. I think I ran a 244. Um, yeah, I can't remember. It was I was just happy to be under 245. I think that was the big goal, and I did it, and I don't even remember the exact time. So
That's honestly, that would be a good goal for me for the half marathon. So bravo. So one of the things that I stole some fun questions from a few sources, which for everybody listening, I will share those sources with you so you can learn some more fun things about Alvina. But so you were introduced or you were interviewed on Running on Ohm, the podcast, and one of the bullet topics that they talked to you about was finding a native coach. And I was curious about that particular bullet point. Was that a challenge for you? And was that important to you to have a coach who was also native?
um, in some ways, yes. I think for me at that, the native coach that I had was Mike Daney, and I think after my college experience at ASU, like I had a really rough relationship with my ASU coach. It just wasn't it, it just it was tough. So once after college, I worked with Mike Daney, and I just felt like he understood where I came from. He understood that I was a traditional Navajo woman, so he was able to work with me and staying connected to my culture and train. So with some of the coaches that I've had, it's always been a little bit of an issue to go home or um, to to visit family as often as I usually do. So at the time, I felt like it was really important for me to work with Mike. And then once I found my own way and found out that I could be successful, you know, or after working through some of my own issues, I was able to work with other coaches and you know be a better communicator, be a um, do things without needing a lot of hand holding. So if that makes any sense.
No, it definitely does. Well, and I was curious because I know, my undergraduate degree was at ASU, and I'm very familiar with how intense it is to go to school in Tempe. And I'm curious, going from Ganado to Tempe, where the entire campus population is multiple, like dozens of times larger than your home community. I mean, what kind of like shift did you have to do to handle that?
I felt like it took me 3 years to make the adjustment and to get used to the heat and the city
Oh, yeah.
living. So I grew up on a hospital compound, and I felt like that's what Adams State College reminded me of. So I was used to, just a small group of people hanging out around campus, and then I go to ASU, and the sidewalks are full of students. The classrooms are bigger. So yeah, it was definitely intimidating. I was used to running on dirt all the time, then I was running on pavement. So I felt like every part of my life was like adjusting and navigating and trying to figure out, how to make it work there. So it was definitely a struggle. I felt like it just took a really long time to just adjust and to get comfortable with
Right.
living down there in
Well, and
Tempe.
I hear that a lot that, even at NAU, I know that that's a big part of trying to welcome Indigenous students and helping them understand that, and get comfortable with a larger community. Because even NAU now, I mean, I know NAU is nowhere as big as ASU, but it's definitely, it's become a whole new experience where if you come from, I guess, is Ganado considered to be a town?
Yeah, it's a town, and we don't have a stoplight.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's very small. I mean, my parents' neighbors probably live like 3 miles away, and everybody lives so everybody lives. It's so rural, and there's not. But we're a community, even though
Mhm.
everybody's so spread out. Yeah, we have
Yeah.
one store, and it's when I go back to Ganado and I go to the grocery store, it's like a class reunion. I see like people I went to high school with, my old babysitter and her kids. Yeah, so I mean that's how small Ganado is. So
Mhm. So this kind of brings me to a question about, so it's not, or it's become more obvious to a lot of running communities that we lack diversity in running clubs or running groups or just runners in general. And so people are starting to kind of turn that corner and recognize we need to be more inclusive. We need to give more opportunities for, um, you know, for other cultures to feel comfortable in these groups. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on that and what runners can be doing to create a more open and welcoming atmosphere for Indigenous runners.
I thought about this question, and I think um, one thing that came to mind was just educating everybody about the minority groups, the Indigenous groups in the area, just knowing like, what kind of community you're living in, what type of population um, of people live in your community. And I think that, and just educating yourselves about, the cultures and, just so there's not so much stereotyping. I
Mhm.
think that's important. There's definitely, um, I remember a podcast, I can't remember what podcast it was, and they asked me the question of why, I thought that there wasn't a lot of diversity in the running community. And it was a really tough question for me to think about and answer. And I still, you know, um, ask ask myself that question. But I think just a lot of educating, and I think for me as a Native American runner, I feel like it's my responsibility too to educate, people I run with or community members about, what's okay and what's not okay, um,
Mhm.
about what to say or do um, among Native Americans. When I lived in Flagstaff, I remember there were certain situations where I had like friends, laughing about Native Americans or, laughing about making stereotypical comments. And I never said anything where I made it sound like it was okay. And then um, looking back at it now, I wish I had said something. So I think as Native Americans, I think, we live in the Flagstaff community. We need to take responsibility and educate. If somebody says something that's not okay or appropriate, we need to politely or just say something and educate. So.
Mhm. And that leads into, so my understanding is that running plays a role in Navajo tradition. Could you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so there's two. I usually educate people on two different how running plays a part in the Navajo culture. So we have one ceremony called the Kinalta, and that's the coming of age ceremony. It's a Navajo puberty ceremony. So when a young girl reaches puberty, there's a 4-day ceremony, and that four-day ceremony is it's a teaching opportunity. It's an opportunity for the women in the community to mold and educate and teach a young Navajo woman on how to, take care of themselves, to how to, work hard and do things that are not comfortable. And during the 4-day ceremony, the young girl that's having the ceremony runs to the east 3 times a day. And every time that she runs a little bit further. So what that teaches the girl is that it teaches her the importance of staying physically fit and taking care of her body, and it teaches her how to um, you know, be strong, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. So there's teaching moments in that ceremony. And then the ceremony ends with the all-night singing. A medicine man will sing all night for the young girl, and they sing their prayer song so that the young woman will become strong, and she'll be wealthy, and she'll live a good life and be a good mother. So that there's that, and then there's a cake that they cook in the ground all night, and then it's a corn cake, and it's really good. And the young woman will give that to her guests, people that helped her and supported her and participated in her ceremony. So I had that, and it's something that I'm really glad that my parents had for me. So,
Oh,
and then
that's awesome.
the other running, the other thing that running plays a part in our culture is running to the east. We're taught, all Navajos are taught to run to the east, and this is before the sun comes up. We run to the east and we yell, because they say that the holy people are out, and if we yell, they hear our voices. They will bless us, and so so we run to the east, and what that teaches us is to stay physically fit, to learn how to be self-disciplined. It's not easy to get up early and go running in the dark, in the cold. And then it also teaches us to pray, to connect with Mother Earth. So that's, those are the two big, that's how running plays a big part in our culture. So.
That's very cool. Awesome. So I am going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and pause for a moment, you and I, and we are going to let, if anybody was wondering who this other fabulous lady is with us, this is Diana Sanchez. She is our Chief Development Officer here at Coconino Community College. And everybody who's been signing up for this running series, we want to make sure everyone knows kind of how you can get involved wherever your interests may lie. And so that's what Diana is going to do for us real quick.
Thank you, Megan, so much. Just a couple things, because I don't want to take away from this amazing presentation. So thank you so much for spending the time with us this evening. As some of you might already know, our cross-country teams are entirely funded by charitable giving. So if you're interested in supporting us and making a donation to the Cross Country Comets, you can click the link in the comments to go to a live donation page. And no donation is too small. So please, anything you can give will help support our athletes and our program. And if you know of businesses in Coconino County who are interested in acting as a sponsor to our teams, you can please email me, and Megan will again post all this in the chat. And other ways that you can help get involved and support this amazing program is that we're going to need community champions who will help us spread the word about the team, volunteer, and generally talk up all the amazing, exciting things that are happening with the program. And if you're interested in learning more about what's to come and where we could use your help, please subscribe to our email list, and that will, again, all this information will show up. If you're one of our interested athletes, woohoo, you can email athletics@coconino.edu to contact our incredible new coach, Coach Craig Hunt. We're so excited you're on board with us. And our amazing athletic director, Tony Williams, to learn about how these teams are coming together. And that will also show up in the chat. There's going to be a lot of information coming here. And then we just want to take a quick moment to recognize the amazing community volunteers who have helped make these teams possible by serving on our planning committee. A huge shout out to Nat White, our CCC governing board president, runner, and just general local legend. This man is like the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. Nat White. Reggie Eccleston, he's our sideline reporter in football analysis for NAU. I'm sure many of you have heard his voice, and he works with the Coconino and Flagstaff high schools as well, and he's been generous enough to lend his expertise. Doug Allen, member of the Flagstaff Sports Hall of Fame and former employee of the Flagstaff Unified School District. And of course, Trina Painter, she's an incredible woman, Flagstaff High School boys and girls cross country coach, Arizona Coach of the Year, and National Cross Country Girls Coach of the Year. So please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you for joining us this evening. I know we're going to continue. I unfortunately have to go tend to my little ones, so if I jump off, that's where I have to go. But thank you for everyone who's been a part of this incredible thing. We are so excited to bring this to the community. And Alvina, thank you for helping us launch this incredible series.
Yeah, thank you, Diana. Much appreciated. So I have other fun questions here. So let's talk about preparing for an Olympic qualifier, because for me, when I ran my first marathon, I was like, as long as I'm out like 2 or 3 times a week, that's great. And then I just kind of slogged my way through it, and it was what it was. What kind of mental preparation, physical preparation do you have to do to show up and feel like you can compete with the best in the world?
Oh goodness. I'm thinking about like what I'm doing now compared to what I was doing when I was training for the Olympic trials. So when I was in my prime, running my fastest times, I was running between 80 to 120 miles a week. A long run day would be anywhere between 12 to 24 miles in one run. And then I would do 2 workouts a week. So one workout might be 10 times a mile. Another workout might be like 20 by 200 meters. So yeah, and just most days of the week were running twice a day. So I'd run in the morning, and then I'd rest, take a break, do strength work, or do some type of flexibility, plyometric strength training work, and then I would do a second run. So yeah, it's just I was tired. I was tired a lot. Yeah, just paying attention to what I ate. Yeah, it was everything was geared towards being as fit as possible on race day. So
man, so this sounds like a full-time job to me. So were you working, or did you have other means to support yourself while you were doing this?
So when I was running in my best times, I was working part-time, probably 2 times a week, anywhere between 6 to 8 hours, 8 hours a day. So I was trying to work as minimally as I could, and trying to make the most money, as much money as I could by working as minimally as I could. So yeah, I mean, it is a full-time job. I mean, you're just so tired, exhausted. I didn't have I didn't have much energy to do anything else. Yeah.
And we have Alicia asks in the comments, there surely were injuries. How did you work through injuries or ensure that you didn't get injured?
Oh goodness, I had to work with I had a bunch of different, not a bunch, but I had several physical therapists that I worked with. I worked with AJ Gregg, Wes Gregg. They're with hypo. Is it still called hypo? Hypo.
I want to say yes.
Okay, so yeah, they're up by Buffalo Park, but I worked with them. I worked with John Ball. I did a lot of strength work. I think that was the key for me, was just trying to keep those muscles that you use so much of when running all those miles strong. So yeah, like strength training was a big part of like being able to train really hard. So, and of course, just, trying to eat as well as I could. Yeah, and then just a lot of body work. I probably got massages once a week, sometimes every other week. So
That sounds nice.
a lot of chiropractic adjustments. Not those kind of massages. Those massages were the massages that I got like hurt. They were not nice, relaxing massages. So, yeah.
That makes me think of, so the reason why my first marathon was an absolute disaster was because I got sick and I blew out my ribs with my cough.
Oh gosh.
And so I messed up my diaphragm, and it was so part of the physical therapy was the guy would actually reach under my rib cage to stretch it out. And I literally was sitting there and I was like, this is a bad time for me to tell you that I'm ticklish. But then the other part of this was, we talked about the importance of strength training and how if you're too flexible, if you have too much movement in your joints without the strength to hold it together, that's where so the people who only run and they only stretch and then they don't do that physical resistance training is actually a big reason why people end up hurt. And that blew my mind finding that out. So I don't know if that's something that you had heard or not, but it was fun fact.
Yeah, well, definitely just the strength training. I mean, I felt like that was really what kept me going, kept me from falling apart.
Oh yeah. And then Carletta wants to know, what was your diet and what was your go-to meal prior to races? And this could possibly tie in with your profession as a dietitian too, because I'm sure you have a lot of knowledge in this area.
I think I would, well, if any, like for the people that know me the best, know that my diet was not, it's not the best. I wasn't very strict with my diet when I was running professionally. I tried to eat well. I tried to get in my red meat for the iron. I tried to make sure I had enough carbs. I tried to make sure that I was getting in my calcium and my vitamins. But I just felt like I didn't want to worry about my weight, and I know that I've always run my fastest when I'm happy. And I didn't really restrict calories, and if I wanted ice cream, I had ice cream. But yeah, when I was training pretty hard, I wasn't a big I didn't eat a huge meal before runs or workouts. I would eat a banana or some coffee with toast and peanut butter, just something very light before workouts or runs. And then after my morning run, I would have a bigger breakfast. It would be eggs or I don't know, hash browns or toast or something. And then for lunch, I'd have a sandwich or I don't know. I worked at the hospital. I worked at Flagstaff Medical Center, and they always had like they had a nice cafeteria. So I would just have whatever they had. So that was nice. And then dinner, I would have anything from steak. Did a lot of chicken, fish, rice, different vegetables, fruit. Yeah, I wouldn't say I was I watched my diet, but I wasn't really strict with the calories or where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
So. but yeah, and I think that was I think that worked to my advantage as well. I did have to pay a lot of attention to iron. My iron would get pretty low, so I'd have to, get blood work every 3 months ish. And that's just what I did to just try just to keep an eye on my iron so it wouldn't get too low. Um, yeah, and of course taking a calcium supplement to keep the bones strong.
Right.
So.
Well, and so then Alicia's other question was, I think it was Alicia. I scrolled down too far. Yeah. Question about tips on where to find a suitable diet plan for runners, which I know is like the everlasting question of all runners is, what should I be eating? What's your take on that?
I feel like, oh goodness, it just depends how much you're running. I'm all about, for females. I encourage, red meats and making sure that you're eating foods that are iron rich. For males, it's probably more portion control. I feel like some males, they think they run 2 miles and they think they can eat like a 5,000 calorie meal and they're going to burn that off with 2 miles. So I would say just, portion control. Let's see what else. Limiting the drinks, the sugary drinks. Yeah. And then as far as a suitable diet plan for runners, Alicia Vargo is a great dietitian for runners. She's somebody that I think specifically helps with nutrition plans and nutrition, helping runners get on the right diet.
Mhm.
And then there's Abby Chan. She's another dietitian does really great one-on-one work with individuals, especially runners and other athletes. So.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the time it really comes down to just doing what works best for you. Like you test, I've read this before. They're like, you test it, you run after you eat it. Oh, crud, my stomach did not like that. You turn around and you take that off your list. Like it, which is a bit of a pain, but it's, it definitely, I mean, it's just fascinating. I've been reading a book about, it's called Fiber Fueled, and it's all about plant-based diets. And this guy has just all of these different recipes that are all plants. And I'm sitting here going, there's no way that this is going to work. And then I made one of the recipes and I was like, I'm full. How am I full? So it's just, there's so much. I mean, you literally have to be a registered dietitian or nutritionist or someone who understands the science behind it. And half the time I'm like, we're all just kind of flailing around in the dark trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I remember my coworker at FMC did she did a presentation, and I forget what they call it, but she did a presentation on how vegetables and high fiber foods fill up your stomach, whereas like a hamburger and other processed food just gets mashed down. So you're not, it doesn't take up as volumetrics. You have, your high fiber vegetables take up more more room in the stomach, and you're not eating as many calories, but you feel full. Whereas, you're eating a hamburger and you still have a lot more room to get a lot more stomach room to eat more. So,
oh yeah. I try harder to drink more water too, because especially for me in particular, because so I only have one kidney. And I've had only one kidney for my entire life. And so I've always been like, it is so important to drink water. So I've got this enormous water bottle with my CCC sticker on it. And I will try to drink 2 of those whenever I've been active or something, because and then shockingly, I'll have a salad and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm full right now. Go figure.
I know of one other person that has like one kidney, and that's my brother.
Really?
So I'll have to tell him that I know of somebody else that has one kidney.
It's the one kidney club. It's a thing.
You can start a club in Flagstaff. He lives in Flagstaff too.
Oh, that's awesome. He and I can talk about how I wasn't allowed to do like karate when I was a kid because my mom was scared that I'd get kicked in the side and that it would mess up my only kidney. I was like, really? That's the reason why I can't do it.
Yeah, my mom wouldn't let him be active until he was completely cleared, and my mom was already making plans to donate her kidney, and it was like a scary thing for our family for a little bit. But now he's fine. He runs marathons and he's fine.
Awesome. Okay, good. Yeah, we all know the One Kidney Club. We got this covered. We're good. So Coach Hunt asks, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your younger self? And it's a broad question, so I say you take it wherever you choose.
Well, when I was in junior, so I was a super focused junior high runner. Like I've been, when I was in the 7th grade, that's when I like really focused in on running. And I stayed like that until I started nursing school, which was like in my mid 30s. So I was a super serious, like junior high kid. I was super serious in high school. And, looking back, I'm like, why, I was so young and, and because I was so serious, I missed out on, some things. And it's fine now, but, looking back now, I feel so silly for being so serious and like, sitting at the back of the bus, eating my noodles while, the rest of the team was eating at Burger King, it's just things like that. I look back and I'm like, that was just ridiculous. I wish I stayed out a little bit more with my friends instead of thinking I had to go home and get my 8 hours of sleep. And I'm in the 7th grade, thinking things like this. So yeah, I would tell myself to just chill out, things are going to be fine. You're going to qualify for 3 Olympic trials. The focus is still going to be there. So yeah, I would have said that to my younger self.
I feel like that's a common theme for people in our general age demographic, because I know I was a very serious kid and I flipped out over everything. And it is incredible what hindsight gives you as an adult, where you look back and you're just like, dang it. I mean, granted, you also learned something from it, right? So you know now how to behave and what fits for you. And does that mean, like in the future, do you have plans for trying to achieve something new with your running career? Is that something that you're hoping to do?
Yeah. I had a baby in November and I'm getting into shape slowly. So I definitely still have running goals. I'm thinking about marathons, and COVID in some ways is probably a blessing in disguise, because I've been pushing myself so hard for so many years, and it was nice to just not have a race on the calendar to train for. And I was I was able to really focus on making sure that my baby was safe, and we were taken care of. And yeah, but yeah, I definitely am slowly getting back into shape. And it's hard. It is. I have not been out of shape. I can't even remember when I was like out of shape, but I had a C-section, so I couldn't run for 6 weeks, which is like the longest I've ever not run for. So it was really hard to start running. And then my stomach was just like still hurting when I started running, and I was walking, and it was really hard. But now I'm up to like an hour and a half, and I'm still a little out of shape, but it's a lot easier to run now than when those first steps coming back from
It's amazing how quickly you forget the start of that process. Like when I did so I did a half marathon last January, right before COVID happened. And then I just kind of stopped for a while. And I was doing really well. Like it was a personal best for me. And then for like 3 months, I did nothing because COVID happened. And I just remembered later when I started running, I was like, this is the worst. How on earth did I start doing this? Like it's so incredible what a mental game running is, where you really just have to push past that, and it becomes so incredible afterwards.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, there was definitely times when I had to tell myself, okay, it's okay to walk. It's okay to just,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Like that little voice in your head that tells you that you're not a runner if you're not actively running the entire time. Because that's definitely my thing.
Yeah, I had that voice. I heard that
So,
voice
so
many
speaking of
times.
COVID, so I had read through an article that Erin Strout had done with you for women's running last year, and at the time, that was when things were at like red alert for the Navajo Nation. There was a conversation about how your mom was overseeing the hospital in Tuba City, and how it was just such an uncertain time for your family, and then to see things turn around as fabulously as they have on the reservation, from your perspective, being not only being a dietitian and a nurse yourself, but being from a family that's really in the medical field. What has the Navajo Nation, like, what is it that they did that caused things to rebound so effectively? Because it's kind of miraculous seeing the tale of two stories, really.
Yeah, I would say that it was leadership. Our Navajo Nation president, he was on it. I felt like he listened and worked with health professionals, and I felt like they the implementation of the mask mandates. He ev- every grocery store and store, they required everybody to wear masks. Every place of business, every place was like required to have the mask mandate and set in place, and I felt like that was important from the get-go. So he did that, and him President Nez, Jonathan Nez, just listening and working with healthcare professionals was good. So yeah, just that. And I felt like a lot of families were impacted by, or they had somebody have COVID. And I think that too is just, it makes you take the precautions a bit more seriously. And yeah, so I would say that, and just a lot of education, on the radio. And um, the radio stations were just, a lot of giving out reminders to wash hands, wear your mask, isolate, stay away from family and friends. So just a lot of education, and people just saying those things over and over again. So
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad that it turned itself around, and that you don't, is your mom still working for the Tuba City Hospital? Or I'm
Yeah,
sorry, Kienta. Was it
yeah,
Kienta?
yeah, she works, she works at Kayenta. She's the director of nursing there. Yeah, she's still working out there. Yeah, she was out there vaccinating people. Yeah, now they're just, it seems like they're just back to seeing patients. There's not that whole talk to her today, and it's just back to meetings.
Mhm.
It's not COVID running the show there. Like
Right.
last year, it's more, you know, sick tourists coming in from Monument Valley type of thing. But yeah,
It's
so
it's so, thinking about where we were a year ago to where we are now, and seeing, I just saw today that the Flagstaff 4th of July parade is on for real
oh,
this year. And I literally was sitting at my desk like, yay!
yeah,
Because I've missed seeing people. And so the next thing, of course, is I cannot wait to do a running event where we can see people in person and run next to one another. And I have to give major props to Team Run Flagstaff, because the way they've been doing it is they set a limit to the number of people who can sign on, and then they make sure that everyone's spread out around the track. And so it's just, even with distancing, I mean, what a difference it makes to be with people.
oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's interesting too, because I feel like, even if I'm around a group of people, I still find myself kind of freaking out. And then I have to remind myself, okay, we're all vaccinated. It's okay to have a little
Mhm.
group meeting, but I still have that like, oh my gosh, we're not supposed to be doing this. And
Yeah.
and there's definitely some anxiety and some
Hmm.
fear there now. Or
Yeah.
I mean, I forget to wear my mask and I'm like freaking out that that person standing next to me might have COVID. And no,
Mhm.
I just, my brain just runs away. And but that's what COVID did,
Oh
so
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, just wearing a mask was so shocking a year ago. And now today it's like, I got a car mask, I've got a purse mask, I've got all my masks hiding everywhere. And now and I don't know if anybody else has this happen, but I've had bad dreams where I have scared myself. And it's almost like the equivalent of the dream where you forget to like prepare for a presentation in school, except I'm in a store and I realize I'm not wearing a mask. And that's the scary moment of like, oh my gosh, I'm that person.
No, I just had a dream the other night that I was like in this big gathering and I didn't have my mask on and I was like freaking out. Like,
Mhm.
that was a nightmare.
Well,
So,
and so one of our questions here is, what are your thoughts about running with a mask on? Because some cities are still mandating it, and curious about your feelings on it.
oh gosh. I support, I mean, I think of Galen Rupp wearing a mask and I feel like, I mean, and it's hard. Like I've had to wear a mask running around and I feel like, if you're, if you're around a lot of people, I think that you should wear the mask. If you're like in the city where there's just people everywhere and you have to run through a large group of people, I think you should wear a mask to protect yourself. But where I live, like we live, we I don't see anybody sometimes when I go for a run and I don't wear a mask. But
Mhm.
there was a period where we did have to wear a mask and people were running and we would see each other and put our mask on. And it's uncomfortable, but I feel like if it gives you peace of mind, wear the mask when you're
Mhm.
around people. So I support the wearing the mask, but I mean it's definitely uncomfortable. But if I'm alone, I just don't even wear it.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. And honestly, it's one of those, as long as when I know I'm around, like you said, when I know I'm around people who are vaccinated, it makes a world of difference. And
Mm.
you know, we're all just doing the best that we can and trying to care for one another. And everyone has I truly believe that, 95% of humanity has very good logical reasons for the choices that they make for their care, for their family's care. So, yeah, I'm vaccinated. I'll still wear my mask everywhere because I'll be on my bike and I've got my mask on and it just like shoves in my face and it's, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, that's fun, but it is what it is. Let's see. Antonio says, as a Navajo runner, did you have challenges when you were doing track and cross country when you were younger? And was your family full of, oh yeah. So he got here a little bit late.
Yeah.
He's Danae and a runner as well. Did you ever have to run through tough weather like snow, rain, and hot sunny days?
Yeah, well, the first question is my family were definitely full of runners. My dad was a runner, my mom ran a little bit in high school, and then my two younger brothers ran. My middle brother Alvin lives in Flagstaff, so you might see him around. He looks like me. So he looks like me, but he has shorter hair, a man version. So and he's taller, he's much taller. But yeah, he's living in Flagstaff. Let's see. And yeah, I ran through a lot of tough weather like snow, rain. Yeah, hot. Yeah. I lived in Phoenix, so lots of hot runs there.
Oof.
I lived in Portland, lots of rain there. I lived in Flagstaff, so lots of snow there. So, but yeah, whenever there's just like bad weather day, some days now I just don't run because I had to run in those conditions. So now that I have a choice, I just choose to be with my baby on those like bad weather days because I know what it's like to run on some of those miserable weather days.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
good for you.
And then the other question was, did I have any so did I miss a question?
I think You have to run through tough weather. Did you have challenges when you were doing track and cross country when you were younger?
Not, I would say in high school, I think the only challenge that I had was because my dad was a runner at a high level. He sometimes felt like he could coach me, and that would clash with, my high school coach. So that was a challenge, was, trying to figure out how to, you know, I don't know. It was hard. At the end of the day, it was, I was doing the workouts that my high school coach gave me. So, and fortunately, my mom did a really good job of, telling my dad he needed to just chill out and just let me do what the coach said. And my coach in high school was James Lujan, and he was coached by the legendary Joe Vigil. So I felt like we had a really good program in high school. So we did some good workouts, and we learned how to pace, and we learned about the VO2 max and all of that. So yeah, so
All
that
that
helped.
fun stuff. So I have one more question for you, since we are in the last 4 minutes of our hour. As I've mentioned before, we're starting a cross country team at CCC. And so what I'm going to be asking each of our presenters is, do you have experience with a community college, whether it's CCC or otherwise? And if not that, how did athletics affect or influence your experience in higher education? I guess the point to that question is, how do you feel that having a cross country program will be a positive benefit for our students at CCC?
Well, for me, running kept me focused on academics. It helped me get through school. It helped me, I would say, like, for me, it was really important for me to graduate from college. It was really important for me to run all 4 years of college. So for me, as a Native American woman that was trying to not be a stereotype, it was really important for me to complete, to get a college degree. So running, to be able to compete, I had to have good grades. So I studied hard, and I trained hard, and that's what athletics did for me. And I met so many great people in my college running experience. If I didn't run at ASU, I probably wouldn't have met, the people that I did, that would have connected me to other people that would have allowed me to run at the professional level. So you make connections that are gonna be beneficial to you further down the road.
Mhm.
So yeah. So and I mean, running, it's still a connection to Flagstaff, even though I'm not there full time anymore. So
Mhm. That's awesome. And we do have one more question that popped up. There's a question about treadmills, because when weather stinks, the treadmill is always an option. Do you feel that injuries are more prevalent on treadmills?
oh goodness, I've never been a treadmill person. Like, I'll get like fired up thinking I can do this big workout on a treadmill, and I'm like just sick of it after 10 minutes. So I don't know. We always drove, like, bad weather days, I either drove out to Winona Road to run, or out towards Loop Road to run, or down to Sedona. I would just went somewhere with better weather and ran, because treadmills were just not my thing. So I don't know. So.
No, I'm totally with you. I like diversity of information, so, or of input. So I'm totally, yeah. That's why I'm grateful for Northern Arizona, because there's always something beautiful and new to see. So that's gonna do it. We have hit. I actually scared myself at the beginning because we were plowing through all my talking points so fast, but we nailed it. So Alvina, thank you so much for your time tonight. It's so appreciated. And so everybody knows, these sessions are free because all of our presenters are giving their time voluntarily. And so we really, really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone for coming tonight. We do have our next talk tomorrow night, 6 p.m. or 6 p.m. Flagstaff time. If you're on the Navajo Nation, it's 7 p.m. And it's going to be awesome. I look forward to seeing you there. And have a great night, everyone.